Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 191 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I'm your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And this is our last episode before the famous Summer Slaycation. So we're we came up with a good idea. So since we already did, usually we do that little Summer Slaycation preview, but we decided to pop it in with our last episode before it in a unique way. So as you know, last year we did the Wrong Turn series. Well, then, much to our chagrin, right after we did the series, we remembered that there was this another Wrong Turn coming out. Now, granted, when you hear our discussion about it, it can safely be separated from the original series here. But we thought it would be kind of fun to do this one as kind of like a bonus from last year's Summer Slaycation to lead us into this year's Summer Slaycation.
Right, we'll have a schedule of our upcoming Summer Slaycation a little bit later on in our first chop, which you guys will want to hear, because we will unveil what franchises we're doing for this year's Summer Slaycation, and I think this is a really outstanding one.
Yeah, this is a good one. Now, we're only doing 3 series this year because, as we discussed, you knew we were doing Puppet Master, and that's going to take that's going to take 4 weeks. We decided to spread it out. But there's definitely going to be the other 2 ones we picked, I think, are going to be really, really popular. And we should say this is kind of an interesting thing, even though you may have already saw this already by the time you're listening to this episode. But this is actually our second episode we're recording tonight. However, the other one was not for Civil Gore. We were actually totally humbled and honored to co-host with EB an episode of Coaster Radio, which of course Tim and I have mentioned on the podcast before is basically what got us into podcasting. It got us first of all to meet each other through the Coaster Radio meetup. And if there was no Coaster Radio, there would be no Civil Gore. So I mean, it was almost like this full circle moment.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And it was almost surreal. We were asked by Mike and EB, because Mike had to step away for the week, and instead of them skipping the show, they decided, or EB going solo, really, they decided to see if we wanted to co-host, and of course we would say yes. We owe them so much, and it was a blast. So by the time you hear this, you may have already seen us share that episode on on Coaster Radio's page. We might have already shared their page too. So you'd see that we were on that episode. So you get an extra Tim and Brian if you could stand it. I know everyone loves Tim's dulcet tones, and they can't get enough of it. I get how you won't want to hear me a little already more than you do. But anyway, it was a fun episode. We did talk about horror. We got some horror in there. We got some good theme park talk. So people that love our show when we talk about theme parks are going to get a great episode there with that.
Yeah, it was a blast. I had so much fun. And like you said, it was such a treat to be on a show that I have listened to for years and years and years, and actually spawned this whole podcast thing. We've spawned a lifetime friendship between me and Brian, and our wives as well. So it was such a treat to be able to do that. That was so exciting, and I really appreciate those guys thinking of us for that episode. But we have some horror movies to talk about, so let's get right into our first chop. All right, Brian, so I watched 2 things since we last recorded. The first was one that you guys will want to hear about, and the second one is one that you can safely skip.
Oh. I know. I think I know which one is which, too.
Yeah. Let's talk with the good news first. So I watched, I don't know if this is good news per se after you hear what I have to say about it. I watched Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is the obviously the 3rd film in the Conjuring franchise, and was also interesting in that it was released to HBO Max and theaters simultaneously. I had thought about going to see it in the theater, but it's hard for me sometimes to get to the theater with kids and everything. You kind of have to have a babysitter and all that. So we decided, you know what? Let's just watch it at home. And let me tell you, I was not super impressed with this one. I'm a big fan of the first 2 Conjurings, even Conjuring 2, yes. Even though I think the first one is the better of the 2 films, I really liked some of the creepiness in Conjuring 2. Conjuring 3 is definitely the weakest of the series.
I've heard that a lot of people have had like a lot of mixed reviews with this. I thought there'd be a lot of positives for this, but I've kind of heard more negatives.
Yeah, it's in fact I've seen, rankings where people did the whole, universe of Annabelle and The Nun and La Llorona and ranked all these films. And even in those, I think this one kind of at best is middle of the pack. Obviously, Vera Farmiga's awesome in it. Patrick Wilson's awesome in it. They're always good. But the storyline is about a young man that basically his little brother is being possessed by a demon. He invites the demon into himself to save his brother, and then he ends up committing a murder. And so now the Warrens have to basically convince a courtroom that this was a case of demonic possession and not that he's just this cold-blooded killer.
So it's really a courtroom drama disguised as horror film.
Yeah, and it's supposedly based on a true story and all this. And I don't know, it just lacked something. It lacked the scares. It lacked the creepy factor. I thought in each of the first two Conjuring movies, there was like one really creepy element that I just latched onto. And in this one, I just didn't find that. I didn't see that. I don't know. It's hard to describe because it just wasn't very memorable to me. Even me trying to talk about it now, I'm struggling to come up with scenes to talk about. So I thought it was definitely the weakest of the series. Don't get me wrong. I still love the whole universe. I will still continue to watch these movies. But this is the first Conjuring movie I've seen where I really didn't get much out of it at all. And I was kind of disappointed. Maybe if I'd seen it in the theater, it would have been a different experience. I don't know. But yeah, this one, very disappointed in this one.
Maybe if you watched it in a courtroom, like one of the Alamo Drafthouse themed versions of the film. But
yeah, I just didn't find the story very compelling either. The whole demonic possession thing, even though that's not, I wouldn't say that's like, it's not like an exorcism movie where you're spending a lot of time on screen, like fighting the demon within, that kind of thing. There's not a lot of that, but it still just felt, I don't know, maybe kind of out of place. Conjuring, I tend to think supernatural. I tend to think ghost. And then when you go to this kind of demonic possession thing, it just didn't work for me.
Yeah, also, there was a lot of hype going into it. There was probably some disappointment in there. And, it's been, I think it was delayed, right? It's supposed to come out last year.
Right, yeah.
Like a lot of stuff. I think, I wonder, if you think about it, I wonder how many movies will suffer from that 1 year delay buildup. It will either lose the enthusiasm for it, or will it build up to the point of where it can't possibly live up to it? I mean, I've heard good things about the Spiral, so obviously it didn't affect there. And we still have Candyman coming up. We have Quiet Place 2, which I've heard.
I've heard amazing things about Quiet Place 2.
I've heard really good things about that one, so that obviously didn't affect. Of course, we have Ghostbusters Afterlife we want to come out. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong lived up to it, the hype, so... I mean, I get maybe it's not a bunch of a factor, but maybe for a movie like this, which like you said, lived off of so many like cool scare element and supernatural plot points like that, maybe they went a little different way. It just didn't hit the right way that it should have.
Yeah. Now the second movie, this is something I do occasionally, Brian. What I'll do is I'll go on Amazon Prime. I'll go on to Prime Video, and you know how they have those little filters on the left-hand side of Amazon where you can filter by horror. You can filter by last 30 days, and I see every horror movie they've added in the last 30 days, and then I'll go in and pick something weird that just looks interesting, because Prime is the repository for all weird stuff. They don't care what the video quality is. They don't care anything. There's no curation at all on Prime. They just throw it on there. So I did the same thing today. I went out and said, I'm going to see what the last 30 horror movies they put on Amazon Prime were. And I found this one called Hillbillies in a Haunted House. From 1967, and I was like, "Wow, that's something I gotta check out." Especially because
it almost sounds like a Three Stooges thing. Like it would be something from them.
You don't know how close to the mark you are. So this one has stars Lon Chaney Jr. Has Basil Rathbone. It has John Carradine. So it's got some big names in it, and it's got some country stars. It has Merle Haggard, but the other ones I didn't really recognize because they're 60s country. I'm not huge expert on that time period, but so the plot is very simple. It's basically a Scooby-Doo plot. There's these there's two country singers and their business manager that are driving headed on their way to Nashville, and on the way they get caught in a shootout between cops and spies. Now, there's never any good explanation of why spies are in the middle of Tennessee, but whatever. Okay, we'll go with it. So, after they get caught in this shootout, they end up having to stop and stay for the night because the car won't start, and they are told to go to this mansion, which I guess they just walk into this random mansion to stay the night there. The guy neglects to tell them that the mansion is haunted. So they go in there and decide to spend the night. And, of course, there's the usual, just like you would see in a Three Stooges cartoon, there's like the ghost and the skeleton hidden behind the painting and all that stuff. And then, of course, what you find out, and I'm just going to give you spoilers for this because you don't need to watch this movie. What you find out is the spies are actually using the haunted house as their base of operations. And this thing has every haunted house cliche you could think of. It's even got the man in the giant gorilla suit because some reason they always had giant gorillas in these haunted house spoofs for some reason. So the funny thing about this movie, though, is it's literally a song every 5 minutes in this movie. Like they padded this movie so much with country western performances. It's almost like if you took an episode of Hee Haw and then just randomly threw like Three Stooges haunted house clips into the middle of it. It was the weirdest movie. It is so cheesy. The performances are good. I like old country. I like classic country. So I enjoyed the performances. There was nothing wrong with it. But the humor is totally off. The comedic timing is terrible. You could tell poor Lon Chaney, this was towards the end of his career when he was just kind of washed up and he had health problems and he was just doing anything for a buck, and you can kind of tell that on screen. It was that piece is kind of sad. So I don't know. It's bizarre. If you really want to like suffer through it, I'm not going to stop you because there is like this campy charm to it. But man, the entire last like 10 to 15 minutes of the movie is them making it to Nashville and then them just showing you the entire performance that they did in Nashville of like 5 or 6 songs in a row. Like there's nothing about the haunted house or anything. It's just the concert.
This is so weird.
It is the weirdest movie. I don't know. It's the guy that directed it did a number of westerns. He did several episodes of The Addams Family. So he had a lot of like TV and movie credentials and credits. So it's just one of those weird little oddball late 60s things, to make a buck in the theater and throw a bunch of musical acts there up on the screen and throw a haunted house theme in for the kids. So really, really bizarre. Hillbillies and a Haunted House, 1967.
So it seems like instead of Merle Haggard, it seems like Tim was Haggard by the end of this.
Pretty much, yeah. Although it was cool to see. I will say it was cool to see Merle Haggard, a very young Merle Haggard, couple performances because he's a favorite of mine. The other people were good too, but I just didn't recognize them. Some of you people that are more versed in classic country may know who they are.
Was Mel Tillis in there?
No Mel Tillis.
I have no.
And there was a little bit of cringiness. Like there's an Asian actress that plays one of the spies. The stereotypical Asian spy lady, and they always call her that Chinese lady. That's kind of cringy.
Yeah, that doesn't play well today. That's not.
And then there was like this weird cringy element where where he's talking about. I don't know, when they're introducing like the female country singers, there's always like this weird sexual innuendo in there. So I don't know. There's definitely some cringe moments. Those are kind of worth watching too, just for the campiness of it.
And for those who don't know, like Steve Cohn and I were getting like the play-by-play of Tim's viewing today.
I had to watch this.
Which is probably better than the movie.
I had to watch this movie like in 5-minute increments. Because I had it kind of on in the background, and if I had a meeting or something, I'd have to stop it and watch a little bit, listen to a little bit of it while I got up to get a drink or something. And I watched a little bit over lunch and everything. So it was funny because I was watching this thing in 5 or 10 minute increments, and I was just giving Twitter updates. So I was kind of live tweeting the whole thing. It's pretty
funny. So Tim stretched out this painful viewing over the course of a day. So you guys could probably watch it in like an hour and a half, though. Yeah, so, Tim, the only thing I really watched of merit this week, other than the movie of choice today, was based off your review, I wanted to watch Caveat, and that really was great. You were right on that one. That was really, really well done. That was super creepy. I still don't know if I 100% understood everything in there. So it was definitely like had some weird elements in there, but overall there's some super, super creepy things in that thing. Like I don't know what that toy was with the
well, there's a lot of things that I think were maybe intentionally left unexplained,
right?
Like
like
that toy. You know, how was it doing what it was doing and stuff? But I thought that just kind of added to the creepiness of it.
Oh no, it did, and the fact when it was like answer and it like looked like it was like such a great product design. Whoever designed that toy for this movie should win an award for props. I mean, that thing was crazy creepy. But yeah, no, overall, and the performances, I thought were really good in that. Really, really good. So yeah, definitely watch that on Shudder if you get a chance, because that thing is definitely a good watch. Definitely say you may the audio. I don't know if it was the TV I was watching, but I noticed the audio sometimes goes like when they're talking. They talk a couple of times. They're talking really low with the they have a strong Irish brogue and so like you may want to like keep your volume handy so you could, because there are some jump scares there that are like super loud.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, it's very very interesting. But yeah, definitely a really, really good movie, and if you can if you have Shudder, definitely a reason to watch. I don't know, should we save the Summer Vacation preview, I guess, for the last
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
element there? Yeah. Next thing I want to do is where on earth are the Halloween Horror Night houses from now on? We got Beetlejuice, and that's it. There's little leaks of things. Tim and I spent probably more time than we should have. We roped poor Steve Cohn in to try and decipher possible code,
which I still don't think was a real code, actually, in hindsight.
I still think it's something, and I think we were close, but we couldn't figure it out. It was one of these weird tweets where there were certain letters capitalized, so we were scrambling it and trying to descramble, and it was just. But where is something? Seriously, by this time, the first year we went to Halloween Horror Nights, Tim and I had already put our first payment down.
Yeah, people are upset too. I mean, you see on Twitter, people are not happy that there's no information out, and especially you can't even buy tickets right now.
Yeah, that's
like the VIP
key.
Tours or anything, and that's really killing me.
Yeah, that's the part. At least sell the event. Start selling things, because we need to know when we're going. We need to know. I mean, we know the dates, but we want to know. We want to be able to start purchasing stuff so we could take our vacation time from work.
Right.
I want to know what's coming. I don't understand why they have not released any information yet. I mean, I had a theory that maybe because there were had people last year and maybe they're trying to roll over their packages to this year. But I see way too many people complaining that they have no ticket information for that to be the case. So I just at least say something, give a reason why. I mean, they clearly are having the event. I mean. Yeah.
Or just say, we will announce houses in, July 15th, and tickets will go, something, anything. But it's just been these stupid Twitter, Riddler type tweets that are, okay, I get it. I see that's marketing, but we have actual concrete plans we have to make, and time off work we have to take, and money we have to allocate. We can't just do this 2 weeks prior.
Yeah, and we're getting closer than you realize if you think about it. So it's we're approaching mid-June, so and we're going in. We're trying to do mid to late September, so there's really only a couple of months here. And I don't I've kind of looked at September, and most of my work calendar I can probably squeeze in, but I still like to know. I mean, part of the fun is planning, and Tim's got, you have the kids, you want to make sure we get things, we want to make sure we get the cool hotel rooms again, there's stuff we want to get done, and we can't plan, and it's so odd why they haven't done it. I mean, I know they're hiring, the scare actors. I've seen you've seen the little bits here and there of them posting stories about that. Are they suffering possibly from the shortages, so they don't know how many packages they can release yet? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I figure by then things will be back to normal. I mean, things are. If you go to places now, you would think there was never a pandemic. I mean, in certain areas, you still see people wearing masks in places, but most restaurants are all open at full capacity in New York now, and it's. We were out at the beach this week and went to a restaurant. I mean, it's crowded as can be. Things are, definitely kind of forcing themselves back to normal fast. So, and Florida was kind of already ahead of the game. And Universal was open throughout the whole pandemic.
Yeah, they didn't care the entire time.
What is their excuse? Really? I could see if it was in like an area that like California, like they were really bad for a while. So they just are, I think, right before we go out there, we're going out there next week. Right before we go out there is when they lift all the restrictions. So it's like you could see behind there. So I get them maybe not announcing anything for the Hollywood event, but I mean, come on, Busch Gardens just sent me an email today. Hey, Howl-O-Scream's coming, and I feel like I got more information in that email than all of Halloween Horror Nights. I mean, unless Beetlejuice has got like 10 houses split up there, I want more information.
Oh, okay. What's next? Our 200th episode. We got to talk about that because that's coming up quick. That one, I think we're going to have more information coming real soon about how you can participate in that. We will, love to have some audio clips from people. And we'll have some stuff planned for that we'll be announcing in future episodes.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some special guests. We haven't picked a movie yet per se. We have a couple of ideas, but I mean, I do know one thing. Definitely, if you want to like be a clip on the show, you want to send us like a 200 episodes. I can't believe you guys made it. Kind of any message, that's fine too.
I can't believe I wasted that number of hours of my life listening to 200 episodes of you guys.
Yeah. Congratulations. Hope you end at 200. Whatever you want to say, really. I mean, but or apologize to Tim for, like commiserate with Tim for having to hear my voice for 200 episodes. Whatever it is, we'd love to share it on there, and maybe we'll even have a sketch. I know we have one surprise in the works.
Yes,
that's going to happen. So we'll hopefully have that. But So anyway, that's coming up. So
just be thinking about it.
Yeah, think about if you want to say some nice messages, or you want to participate and hear your voice on the show, even though you'll probably be one of the few listeners hearing your own voice, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to our Summer Slaycation preview. I will say these dates are subject to change potentially, only because I'm going to be moving right in the middle of this. I don't exactly know. This is our best guess. These could shift slightly by a week or two. But
this is basically the best case scenario. If everything goes as planned, these will be the dates, but once again, these are just not. There's nothing ever set in stone with dates with Civil War.
Not with us. No. All right, so I will kick things off, Brian, with the first franchise of our Summer Slaycation, and this one was an apt pick because I just watched the first entry in this franchise with my kids the other night. They absolutely loved it. This is Poltergeist. We're doing Poltergeist, of course. 1, 2, 3, and the remake, which I have not seen, Brian. I have never seen the Poltergeist remake. So this is going to be a new one for me. Very much looking forward to that series because I think there's a lot to unpack there, a lot to talk about because the movies are so different between all of them. And again, like I said, I haven't seen the remake, so I'm really excited to see that one. It was interesting watching with the kids, I'll tell you, and I'll save it more for when we actually do the Summer Slaycation, but for me, it's such a classic. I've seen it so many times. It was so strange to watch it with them seeing it for the first time. Such a unique experience.
The next one, this was actually, at one point, we were going to have the first one in this series as our possibly our 200th episode movie, but I think we'll decide we moved on because we decided it really should be discussed in a series, and that is the Evil Dead series. So if all goes well, July 5th will be Evil Dead 1 and 2, and then July 12th, following week, will be Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead remake. So it's kind of like a funny theme, like right in a row. You got the Poltergeist, 3 movies in a remake, and same with Evil Dead. So it's very, very apropos, I guess, to do those movies back to back there.
Yeah, and then I think I forgot to mention the dates on Poltergeist. That was June 21st for the first 2 movies and June 28th for the Poltergeist 3 in the remake. And then after the Evil Dead series, we'll get right into the Puppet Master series. This one was so huge, we had to break it into 4 weeks. Starting on July 19th, we're going to be doing Puppet Master Part 1. We'll just try to split these up kind of evenly. I don't even remember how many movies are in this series, Brian. July 26th, we're going to be doing Part 2, August 2nd, Part 3, and August 9th, Part 4 to round out the Summer Slaycation. So I'm looking forward to that because it's been a while since I've seen the early Puppet Master movies. Obviously, I saw the what was the one? Not the very latest one, not the Blade standalone, but the one right before that.
Oh,
the
Reich one.
The Reich one, yeah, the Lilith Reich. I watched that one fairly recently, and I think I watched one of those in the middle. I don't know if it was part.
Yeah, the
4.
Retro Puppet Master we both saw.
That's
I
right,
watched it for
yeah.
my horror.
That's
horror challenge,
yeah.
and you watched it, I think, just randomly one day.
Yeah. So, but it's been a while since I've actually seen the very early Puppet Master movies. I don't know how.
I don't even know which ones I've seen, in all honesty, other than the couple that we just mentioned. I definitely need to like. This will be a fun rewatch.
I mean, I owned the original DVD box set that came out when there were still maybe like only 6 or 7 movies. So I know I believe I watched most of those. I remember some of them being really bad. But this is going to be kind of fun, like the same way the Hellraiser series was fun, because there's some good, but there's also some really bad. So it's going to be a nice little mix, and it'll be kind of fun to... this is a guilty pleasure series of mine. So it'll be fun going through them and finally saying I saw them all, because I can't claim that I've seen all of them. I don't think I have.
I'm just hoping we can track down that a version of, because the one we don't own is that Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys one, because they never released it as an official.
Yeah. And
it's not part of the big set. Is it actually on the Full Moon streaming service? It must be, right?
I don't.
Maybe it is.
We'll have to look for that one. Then
now we're gonna have to email Charles Band and ask him.
Yes, if he can send us a screener.
Can you send us a screener of this, please? We're in the middle of this whole thing.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's gonna be a lot of fun. I think it's a good summer slaycation. I know it's only 3 franchises, but considering how big the Puppet Master series is, and the fact that we're doing this during a move and all just coming off the heels of a pandemic and stuff, I think we're biting off a pretty big chunk. Regardless.
I mean, I guess with those random sequels, there's like 14 movies. It'd be crazy to try and pack those into 2 things. I mean, something would be lost.
Yeah. So I feel like that's the only way to do that series justice.
Yeah.
Brian, I should also say, I pointed out, you guys may have seen it on Instagram. I got my copy of the Eurocrypt of Christopher Lee today, which is that fantastic Severin Films box set. If you guys listened to our Dismemberment a while back, that's the one we were going on and on about how much we wanted it. That finally arrived in the mail today, so I was super excited. It's really a gorgeous set. It's got a kind of a neat... I have not seen this yet. I don't own any box sets that open this way, but it opens from the top. So it's almost like a lid that closes down. Maybe not even the Phantasm one does that.
I have one that does that. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, I think all of mine are just, where you could just tip it over and all of them slide out of the side. But this one actually has a kind of a top opener, and then it has all the discs in there with the featured films, and it has a really nice collectible booklet in there. It's really nice. I think I might do I'm considering doing a video unboxing of it, Brian, and putting it on our page. I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, I should be getting it as Julie kind of told me that could be my birthday present coming. So hopefully I'll be having one as well.
Nice, yeah. I'll see if I can do an unboxing and just kind of talk a little bit about it, and that might be a cool little feature for our YouTube site.
I mean, I did get, as you saw on social media, I did get I bought that movie Hunted that I liked, but also the Stylist Arrow set, which I really wanted.
That looks good. Yeah,
that movie is so good, and and it was one of my favorites from last year, so I was kind of glad I got that. So the Monolith is definitely not starving for anything right now.
All right, well, let's get to our main feature. We are covering Wrong Turn. This is from 2021. This is the reboot, essentially, of the Wrong Turn franchise that we covered in last year's Summer Slaycation. Directed by Mike P. Nelson, starring Charlotte Vega as Jen, Adane Bradley as Darius, Bill Sage as Venable, Emma Dumont as Milla, Dylan McTee as Adam, Daisy Head as Edith, Matthew Modine as Scott, Vardan Aurora as Gary, Adrian Favela as Lewis, and Tim DeZam as Nate Rhodes. Friends hiking the Appalachian Trail are confronted by the Foundation, a community of people who have lived in the mountains for hundreds of years. And let me tell you, Brian, I was actually pretty excited about this one because I really enjoyed the Wrong Turn series when we covered it in our Summer Slaycation. Even the lesser entries I enjoyed to some extent, and I've always liked that series. And so I was really interested to see what they would do with the reboot, especially when I saw the trailer, and the trailer really looks like they were returning to a very gritty, very gory, very serious take. Because some of the franchises kind of got maybe a little silly. or at least a little more on the comedic side. Whereas this one looked like it was really going back to like its horror roots, and so I was super excited to see this one.
Yeah, no, I was too. I mean, I was hoping, I had certain expectations in that. We'll get into this, in a little bit, but reboots are tricky, especially ones when, they're separate from the, for a while after the last installment, and they decide to do a reboot. The word reboot in itself is, sometimes could be, misused a little bit, because they called the new Halloween a reboot. I don't think that's a reboot because it's basically, I mean, yeah, sure, it's rebooting from one timeline, but it's really a continuation. But this one is like this one definitely is the reboot in the right sense. Like they are taking the title, and other than pretty much the hiking in the wrong part of the woods in the Appalachian Mountains, that's the only similarities you get, as you'll find. I will say we're going to probably do spoilers in this, so I mean, it's been out for a little while now.
I want to talk spoilers because I need to talk about the things I disliked.
Yeah, same here. So if you haven't seen it yet and you want to see it, I think it's on Showtime, the Showtime app. You can watch it now, and because there's something I want to get into and things and there's one big discussion I want to have that there's no way to not spoil anything when we go to discuss it. But so I don't know how you want to start with this. Do you want to think the things we liked versus the thing, or just go right into the bashing of it? I don't know. You want to?
Yeah, well, let's go with the things we liked. We like to be positive here on Civil Gore. So,
right, that is true.
The first half of the movie, at least the first 20 minutes, maybe, I actually really liked it. I thought it delivered exactly what I wanted. The story was familiar. You got these kids, don't go off the trail in the woods, and of course they go off the trail, and they're going to get hunted down. And all that stuff was great. They had some really good special effects, good gore kills and stuff. I thought those were fantastic. It delivered just the right amount of brutality that I wanted to see in this. The characters were, I wouldn't say, aside from the final girl who's outstanding, but yeah, I wouldn't say memorable, but they weren't unlikable. I really, I did not like any of them.
There was definitely a Chad in there.
Yeah, there was a Chad, but it was a lot of what you would expect, and for me that was okay because it was almost like comfort food. Right, I knew what I was going to go into. It was delivering what I expected, so everything was good. The problem occurs later, and I'm not going to talk about that yet. But so that first part of the movie, I wouldn't say that it blew me away by any means, but it delivered exactly what I ordered. I placed an order. This is what I want. The waiter came back, put it in front of me, and it was exactly what I ordered. And it didn't blow me away. It wasn't a 5-star restaurant, but it was what I ordered. It was a decent meal. I was happy. Yes. That was first half. What about you, Brian?
Yeah, I say the exact same thing. I think, the setup was familiar. The characters at that point were familiar. I mean, I think as you get into it, you realize that you do have quite a special final girl in this.
Yes.
And that's probably the best part of the movie was Charlotte Vega. And I've always loved Charlotte Vega since we saw The Lodgers. Thought she was great in that. So I was really looking forward to see if she, how now she's kind of carrying that. I didn't know if she was going to be the final girl, but I figured she'd be an important part, and she delivered on that. So that was great. Living, you had the typical, the obnoxious guy. You had, you had the town folk that they just didn't, these as they kept calling them hipsters, but the main characters, were always going to upset and ruffle the feathers of the local town folk. So as that was going on, it's like they really were kind of like Tim said, they were giving you what you ordered. It was exactly what you'd expect from a Wrong Turn series. And then, as like Tim puts it, kind of, it basically within itself took a wrong turn, and yes. And we'd be remiss, and that's where I don't know if I'll quite say my little on the soapbox moment yet, but I'll say, but basically I did not like where it went from once you discovered, when as they were getting hunted, I thought and. I shouldn't say it's hard. You know what? I might have to go to my soapbox thing here, and I'm just going to
go to your soapbox, Brian.
I'm
just pull it up and get on top of it.
I get it's a reboot. You want to stand out from the original. Okay?
But you're the original writer, keep in mind.
Yes.
You're the original writer of the original series. So
Right. But here's the problem I have. Why do you have to call this Wrong Turn? I get it, you want the name recognition, but I think I would have enjoyed this movie if it didn't have any kind of... If it would have said from the writer for the Wrong Turn series and just call it The Foundation, I would have been fine.
yes.
But here's the thing, and this I'm sure is exactly where you thought. How do you take out the inbred cannibal deformed people? That was one of the coolest features, and that's what somewhat gave me frightening. I'm sorry. This movie would have been good if it not associated with Wrong Turn in any way, because then I would not have had that expectation. Yeah, you're looking for what was it like? What was that one guy? Two Fingers, that weird, creepy one that was in all of them.
Yeah.
That's Crew Guy. Instead, we get Orson Welles. It's like what the as the main villain, and what I get you want to be different, but why remake it then with the Wrong Turn moniker?
I didn't understand these. Well, okay, if you guys don't know, and again, we're going into spoilers. I don't.
Yeah,
care.
we need to go into this. I apologize. I just didn't know how to get into it without getting all riled up.
So this foundation is a group of people that basically we are supposed to believe have been living in the woods of Virginia.
Yeah.
I guess they're descended from Vikings or something because they have Danish accents, and they
another thing that I didn't explain, when they're supposedly Americans that were predicting the fall of America, so they decided to leave. So why with the accents? I don't get it.
So they have this Viking persona. They have these Danish accents to them. And I'll tell you, the main guy, this villain we're supposed to be so scared of, looked like he just stepped out of Sports Clips. He looks like a dad that just went and got a haircut, and he's coming out of Sports Clips. I was sitting there going, even when they had the skull mask things on, even that wasn't super scary to me, because it was kind of almost like a bunch of live action role players or something. What are you doing? This
LARPing. It's
are you LARPing? What's going on? This is silly. Are you and then they come out, these Flintstone costumes, and I'm supposed to be scared by this, and then this guy comes out looking like the leader of the Royal Order of the Water Buffalo.
Yeah, it's woo.
and when they unmask and everything, I'm like, number one, I don't buy the premise. What were these Flintstone cosplayers doing living in the woods of Virginia to begin with? And then how is this scary? They're not mutated, they're not deformed. And I get it. It's 2021. We shouldn't be making fun of hillbillies. We shouldn't be, making fun of people that have, I don't know. But it's a movie. These are supposed to be monsters, and the whole thing. I tell you, when I found out this is where that movie was going to go, I lost every bit of fear or suspense or anything. It just died. I did not buy the premise. I didn't find it scary. I thought it was silly. I don't know. It was just disappointing. Now the stuff they do is brutal. They still. I guess it would be. I guess it's scary, in a real life, scary what people would do to each other. But then again, I come back to the Flintstone costumes. I can't get past that.
Yeah. And here's the thing: there were some cool things that they did. That they had their own little court system.
Yeah.
That they had that whole thing where. That whole well, who's really barbaric? We're sitting here and. Doing this, and you guys are judging us and all that stuff. That's great. But again, the biggest problem I had is, why call it Wrong Turn? Wrong Turn means something to horror fans. You know what? You want to maybe change the Crazy Hillbillies, but that's what people are going into. And you should have, like I said, just name it The Foundation. From the writers of Wrong Turn, that would have automatically had the same effect to me. I would have said, I love the Wrong Turn series. I love the original. I want to see what this guy does. And I wouldn't have any pre-expectations of seeing, weird hillbillies in there, and like Tim said, and then there's almost such a shocking moment. Well, where's the creepy people? Are they going to come out?
Yeah.
Are they keeping them downstairs somewhere?
Well, think about it this way. This is how I knew Brian. I went back and I thought, okay, replace all of these Foundation people with like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre level of like hillbilly inbred mutant family, and think how much scarier this movie would have been.
Oh, it would have been crazy.
It would have been terrifying.
You know why? And here's why. Here's the perfect reason what you said, because those people I felt, and as you saw in the movie, another big spoiler, you can reason with. So, but if you're a smart person like the final girl, which I thought was a brilliant move she made, the way she did it, she totally knew how. She had the best survival instinct I've ever seen in a final girl. I swear to God, next to Laurie Strode, she. But I feel like you reason with these people. The villains in the other ones, I don't felt I could ever reason with. I feel like, oh my God, these people don't even understand what I'm saying. I don't think I'm going to talk my way out of this. Here, I felt like, you know what? Oh, she had a good idea. She's going to pretend she's willing to go in there. And she comes up with a thing like, hey, we can offer you this. She picked up on what they were dropping down. That they're a society and they're okay. They don't have disease. They don't have this. They fend for themselves. They're up here living for years and years without a problem. And, and so she played off of that and said, well, I can offer this. This is what we can contribute to your thing instead of killing us. You see, she reasoned her way out of it. Now, granted, of course, in the end, you find that there's the twist. She tries to escape, all that stuff. But I feel like the scariest thing to me is when you're in a situation that you can't, as a viewer, can't see a way of getting out of.
Right.
And
yeah.
that's where you lost me in this, for sure. The final straw was like, oh, wait a minute, I might be able to talk my way out of this thing. I'll just, I'll just kind of do the same thing. I say, oh, I can offer this. I'm pretty funny, I might be able to entertain. I'll entertain you.
I'll be a court jester.
Yeah, I will be the keynote speaker at the next Water Buffalo meeting. I could do it. That's the thing. It's like, like we said, we've said this a million times. Like one of the scary things of horror films is certain things where they're like the lack of parents, or the lack of, the feeling like you're in a weird. But this, I felt like, okay, she just. Two people survived by her speaking out of it.
Well, here's the other thing, Brian.
Into them and getting out of it.
Well, here's the other thing, Brian. Think about this. The whole movie is intercut with scenes of her dad trying to find her.
Right.
So now we know help is on the way. Now we don't know for sure that we don't know for sure if he's gonna rescue her or what's gonna happen, but as an audience, we're not dumb. We know if they're showing the dad the whole movie trying to rescue her, we pretty much know he's going to rescue her. I mean, it's not like he's just going to die and that's that's the end of his story arc right in the middle of the movie. So
well, no, plus because Matthew Modine is badass, he'll always find a way.
That's right. So that's the other thing was I thought that took away a lot of the tension of the movie too, because you're intercutting with her dad coming to rescue her, and horror movies are built off this like you said, like there's no way out, there's no escape, like they're in mortal danger, there's no way they're going to get out of this. And when they do, that's a cool, our suspense is trying to figure out how are they going to get out of this. In this movie, we have several ways they're going to get out of this. They're either going to talk their way out, or Matthew Modine's going to show up and rescue everybody, or maybe the cops will get involved. I mean, there's so many outs here that I just could not be scared. I don't, not that I'm saying that I get truly scared at horror movies, but there's a certain level of suspense that I'm looking for. And in this one, I just didn't get it, man. I did not get that. And I understand you're trying to reinvent it. You're trying to make something new. You're trying to make it fresh, but this is not the way to go. This is not the way to go.
And again, you could have done all of that, and this movie would have, I would have actually probably enjoyed this movie to some extent. But again, and it's my argument with all the time with these reboots that go so different than the original series, just drop the name. Say from the creators of, and that's fine. This is not, to me, sure, I guess it could be a wrong turn movie, but if the other ones didn't exist, this would have been a perfect title for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still say you take out the sports clip Orson Welles and the stupid Flintstone costumes and replace these all with the original Wrong Turn people. This movie is terrifying. I think it's actually. It is. I think it would work. I think it would be. I'm not saying it'd be the greatest thing ever, but I would have enjoyed it, and I would have said that's a darn good reboot. They took it back to making it gritty and scary and gory, and I would have enjoyed it. But I just couldn't get past that premise that these people are living in the woods of Virginia, Like, what do they do? This guy looks like he literally leaves the woods of Virginia and goes over to Costco and gets all their supplies for the week and then comes back. That's what he looks like.
Especially when you see towards the end when he's like,
oh my God,
for the last couple of scenes where and I'm like, oh really? So he just happens to have all this stuff, you know. He comes in and he's got look like he went quickly shopping at like a Bass Sports.
He's got a
Pro
polo
Sports
shirt
outlet.
on. Yeah, come on.
He's got a van. He's like, you know, I mean, they just broke every barrier. Like, you took the crazy mountain man out. Now he's like domesticated, walking into someone's house. I mean, I
can't be scared of that guy because I am that guy.
Yeah, he is. Tim has that shirt. I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the middle-aged white guy that goes to Costco. How could I be scared of that? Come on, man. I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, back to some positives, like Charlotte Vega, like, top-notch. Matthew Modine, top-notch. You know, so it's like, it wasn't that, like, at least, like, you know, could you imagine if this was done with, like, lesser talent and there was no talent in the performances, how bad this would have been?
No.
I mean, at least you had some good performances.
And I will say there are little snippets of things that I really truly loved. I liked the ending sequence. I thought that was cool. I liked the final girl, the whole final girl segment of the end. I really liked.
And I know Kim and Ket will approve. She's a total Sammy.
Yes. Yes.
Because
total.
when she stabs forever.
Yes.
Multiple times.
And there were some of the kills I really, really liked. I thought they were super cool. So it's not that I hate everything about this film. It's just that one premise I could not buy, and that ruined the film for me. But there are little segments I can take out and go, I enjoyed that, I enjoyed that, I enjoyed that. But it's very pick and choose. Yeah,
and I feel bad because, you know, so many times it's the opposite where you'll criticize someone. Oh, you made it exactly the same. Why bother? But I think he could have had the best of both worlds here. He either could have gone just drop the wrong turn, make it The Foundation, because I think the subtitle in Europe was like wrong turn, The Foundation. So he could have just made it The Foundation and left it as is.
Yeah, that was Australia. That was what it was called.
Oh, it's Australia. Okay. Yeah, left it and that would have been, or replace, we said the villains with the more familiar, like the cannibals, scary people that we're used to, or at least like uncoif these people a little bit more, don't make them like, I don't know. I mean, and there really were some cool elements in it, like, I kind of like the trial sequence that these people have, I mean, at least they bought into that whole thing. Like, they are in their own world and they bought into it. They have their own court system, obviously. They have their own food source. There was one thing, though, that I found kind of weird. They do say, like, we don't, none of us have disease here. We all eat clean food. It's then all this, that. But yet the guy lost his wife. And they said, they never really, he said, oh, yeah, some things happen up there. But so what if they eat clean and no one dies, which he said, how did his wife die?
Yeah,
small plot point, discrepancy there, but still. Yeah. Because he did kind of cover it by saying, well, things, accidents happen up there. I don't know what that means, but
I don't know. If you can buy that there's this clan of Danish Costco members that live in the woods of Virginia, maybe you'll enjoy this more than I did. I couldn't get past that premise. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, and, there was the wink, wink, nod, nod line about how they, the little meta moment where they decided they wanted to watch the Wrong Turn series, like, within the movie at the end there. But,
yeah.
But, and they did have some elements of, some of the other ones, I think it was the last one, right? The 6, where they had the thing where the town, like, nearby kind of was aware of there was something up in the woods, and they just left them alone as long as they... And that was kind of creepy, the fact that, like, I think that would be creepy to me if I lived in a town where I knew there was this thing up in the woods, this whole, like, other, like, town, essentially, or world up there. And, as long as you left them alone, they would leave you alone, kind of thing. But, like, to me, it's like, I'd be like, okay, I can leave them alone, but I don't trust my neighbor down the street to go leave them alone. And what does that mean? Are they going to come down and then... But even then, it just, once you see, I just don't see. It's like, okay, here's the thing. Not one of these people could have said, hey, call the FBI, go up there. Really, if they were that concerned, especially you find out that there was interaction. Like one guy lost. Didn't he get the one guy that went to go help? He got shot at once.
Yeah,
or
I don't know.
One guy lost a relative in there. I mean, so it's why not just say, oh, you know what? Shoot, let me get the FBI in. I mean, there's not a world where they don't know what the FBI is. I mean. Call the feds in there then if you're that worried these people are up there I mean, come on, they go in there with a SWAT team, they would have taken out Orson Welles and his crew.
I don't know.
You know?
I don't know. I'm not even going to go through the trivia. We mentioned most of it in our thing. I did like this little piece of trivia, Brian, though. Daisy Head, who plays Edith, is the daughter of actor Anthony Head. And, of course, he was Giles in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And, of course, Eliza Dushku was in Buffy. So that's kind of a neat little tie-in there. I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I did like that last, the Ruby Modine, Matthew Modine's daughter, of course. And, of course, we love Ruby Modine from Happy Death Day series and Satanic Panic. And she's just amazing, and she does a really cool version of This Land Is Your Land in the credits and the music.
The end credits were really good. They were really cool.
Yeah, and that was the weirdest long end credits where I think that was the most suspenseful part of the movie. End credits.
It was really good. I was like, man, I wish the whole movie could have been as good as those end credit scenes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so I would think I mean, even with all that we bashed in it, I think people that should go see it for themselves, because maybe we went in with it with too many expectations. But like I said, I think I probably would have been much more okay with it if it didn't have the Wrong Turn moniker attached to it, because that means something to me that has a pre expectation of something, and the fact that they changed it so much was a little too much for me.
In a reboot, I want to feel like a reboot can launch a new franchise, and I don't see where this is a sustainable franchise after this. It's not.
I think it's I mean, maybe for selling the outerwear, but maybe that's it.
All right, Brian. So, what beer pairing did you come up with for this Wrong Turn of a movie?
So, not only do I have a beer pairing, but kind of a brewery pairing. So it's Hoppy Trails IPA from Appalachian Brewing Company.
There you go.
Out of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. It's 6.2%. The description is, this classic English style IPA is quickly becoming a local favorite, unlike the movie. Brewed with a blend of Magnum and Columbus, Amarillo, and Centennial hops. This beer truly satisfies the hop head in many of us. With floral aromas, a rich malt bill, a golden copper hues, our IPA will take you down the trail of pure hoppiness. Again, unlike this movie. When India was part of the British Empire, pale ale shipped to the troops would often spoil during the rough voyage and temperature extremes. The brewers had a theory that if they loaded the beer with extra hops, the hops would preserve the beer. Of course, it added significantly to the beer's flavor and aroma. So when the troops returned to Britain, they had become hopheads, appreciating the beauty of the hop over influence.
Oh, we got a little history lesson with that one.
Yeah,
I
know.
That.
Look at that.
That's nice. All right, so our triple threat answer for last week, we were looking for an actor or actress. The answer was Patricia Arquette. So clue number 1, my first movie role was in a very popular horror franchise, and of course she made her film debut in A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors and played Kristen Parker. I am the first in my family to receive an Oscar nomination and also the first to win one. Patricia won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for Boyhood in 2014 at the 87th Annual Academy Awards. And clue number 3, I was married to 2 actors who happen to have roles as 2 Marvel Comics anti-heroes. Patricia was married to Nicolas Cage, who played the Marvel anti-hero Ghost Rider in 2 films. She then later married Thomas Jane, who played the Marvel anti-hero Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, in the 2004 version of the film. All right, so this week, Brian, we're looking for an actor or actress. Listen closely. Clue number 1, I was considered for the role of one of the greatest horror villains of all time, I should add.
Yeah, definitely.
Clue number 2, I once starred in a film with a director who played himself in that very film.
Yep. And
clue number 3, I'm perhaps most famous for the role I began playing in 1989. I played the role again in 2017. This would be a big clue there.
Yeah, that's your winner.
Yeah.
That's your winning clue. If you can get that, you're right on the right track.
All right, so our fan topic food listener question of the week. This is a great one. What's your favorite horror movie from your birth year? But a very easy one for me, Brian.
It's funny. There's one in there that probably might become my favorite. Although I have to say I've never seen Horror Express. Shame on me. I know.
Ooh, that's a great one too.
I know that's a gaping hole in my collection, which I can watch now because I believe it's on Shudder, right? I think.
Yeah, I think so.
So I've actually not seen that. I have a feeling once I see that, though, based on the pieces I've seen, will probably become my number one favorite. But other than that, there aren't a ton of movies from my birth year of 72. But the couple, I'll give probably my favorite, though, out of the ones that I have to pick is probably Sisters, of course. The Margot Kidder vehicle. And that one I always loved. And I have the nice version of that in my... in the monolith there. Also, two honorable mentions, though, I think, are Deathline, that Donna Pleasance vehicle that I happened to watch for our horror challenge that I never even heard of until the horror challenge that I ended up liking. And another honorable mention will be one we covered here on the podcast, and that was Night of the Lepus.
Yes. Well, I had a little bit.
You have such great ones. That's not even fair.
Yeah, I fared a little bit better with my birth year. Mine was 1974, and I looked through the whole list, and I was like, these two, there's nothing that's going to top these two. And one of these is going to be my favorite, but the other one is so close behind that it's not even funny. I don't even like to choose, like choosing between my children. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is obviously my number one. And Black Christmas would be my number two. Everything else released that year, although there are some good, decent titles, there's nothing that comes close to these classics. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely has always been kind of, I don't know, can you take pride in a movie that was because it was released in your year of birth? I don't know if that's a thing.
I think you can, because I think you've now establish yourself in the horror world, Tim. I think you have that right.
Yeah, I kind of like it's for some reason I feel like this sense of pride that I was born in the year of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I just love that. It'd be the same if I was born in the year of Psycho or some other big movie. But yeah, I've always loved that I was born in the same year as Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then of course Black Christmas, always a favorite, always one I watch every holiday. Just absolutely love that movie. So it's really hard for me to decide between, but I've got to give the edge to Chainsaw, of course.
Yeah, I feel like I needed to have been born 2 years later to myself.
Yeah.
Because you named two of my favorite movies.
Yeah, you just missed it. You're a little too early to get those huge classics. But yeah, great listener question.
I'm gonna have to bring that up with my parents. Why can't they wait?
Yes, really. All right, guys, so we will see you back here next week to kick off our Summer Slaycation with the first two films in the Poltergeist series. Very much looking forward to that conversation. And, of course, if you have any feedback for the show, want to send in an audio clip to be featured in our 200th episode, go ahead and send that in to us at our Gmail account, civilgorepodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram.
Yes.
In the meantime, stay away from those... I don't know, Costco hillbillies? What do you call those guys?
The buffalo. What did you call them? The water buffalo?
Yeah, the Royal Order of the Water Buffalo. They live in the woods of Virginia, and they go to sports clips a lot.
Yeah, and make sure if you do go up in the wrong trail of the Appalachian Mountains, you contact Matthew Modine ahead of time.